Thank you. First of all, I would like to appreciate your kind invitation. Today, my talk will be entitled Empathic Arousal and Social Understanding in Individuals with ASD. Lack of empathy is a hallmark of social impairments in individuals with autism spectrum disorder. So, if you want to know something better, to go back to the historical roots. Lack of empathy. Hans Erzberger is the first one identified in 4 boys a pattern of behavior that included lack of empathy in his famous work, Autistic Psychopathy in Childhood. One very recent review was Uta Briggs. She said the brain is not body, but it is an engine. She said that people with autism are often said to lack empathy when it's not so simple. People are still arguing about it. Empathy is a huge subject and comes in different forms. It can be a contagion. When you watch someone in pain, you freeze. Many autistic people have this ability, so lack of empathy is a controversy. Maya published one article in Atlantic to discuss the tragedy about Aiden Lanza in U.S. She said that when autistic people sometimes have difficulties understanding the source and intention of others, an ability sometimes known as cognitive empathy. But research found that they are not impaired in emotional empathy or their ability to share the pain and pressure of others. So, seems that autism is not psychosis. Autism can have empathy, but not clear. Rogers et al. In her work in Who Cares? Revisiting Empathy in Asperger's Syndrome. They use the interpersonal reactivity index to assess empathy in people with Asperger's syndrome. In cognitive subscale, including the perspective taking and the empathic concern, they found that people with Asperger's syndrome have lower scores than control. However, in affective scales, personal distress, people with Asperger's syndrome even have higher score than controls. But in the empathic concern, they have no significant differences. So in this case, we are interested in people with Asperger's syndrome have higher empathy, stronger empathy, or lower empathy. So the exact nature of empathy deficits in ASD is not clear. We think that it's a base way to breaking down the component, breaking down the construct, the complex construct into component processing that empathy encompasses. So we have to give a 5 definition to the empathy. Empathy would refer to the ability to share others' feeling without confusion between self and others. It's a complex construct consists of 3 dissociable neurocognitive components, including cognitive empathy, affective or emotional empathy, as well as sensory motor resonance. Cognitive empathy is similar to some extent to theory of mind. Refer to the ability to explain, predict, and interpret behavior by attributing mental states, such as desire, belief, intention, and emotion to be oneself and to other people. There is a general consensus that impaired cognitive empathy in autism was associated with mentalizing dysfunction. Most of the study report reduced hemodynamic response in the brain region involved in theory of mind. That is medial prefrontal cortex, posterior superior temporal sulcus, or temporal parietal junction here. However, the extent to which emotional affective empathy is impaired is not well known. Emotional empathy involves the capacity to either share or become affected aroused by others' emotions, commonly referred to emotional contagion or empathic arousal. Some studies reported individuals with ASD fail to activate amygdala when perceiving facial expression. However, whereas other studies found that gaze fixation influenced amygdala activation, and amygdala hyperarousal was a result of neurohabituation. How about the sensory-motor response? Very recently, empathic deficits in ASD have been proposed to result in disruptive bottom-up engagement of sensory-motor response implanted by the neuron system. One study reported reduced hemodynamic response in the region involved the neuron system to emotional phases. But subsequent studies cannot replicate the findings, including ours. So, importantly, Adam Smith, from Scotland, proposed an interesting hypothesis, the empathy hypothesis of autism, suggesting individuals with ASD that have a deficit of cognitive empathy, but a survey of emotional empathy. So, based on this literature, we also have to know that the good paradigm to study empathy. Empathy for pain is a good paradigm. It's an important window to investigate empathy, because the perception of pain in others acting as an empathic signal, alerting individuals that are specific at risk, attracting their attention and motivating social behavior. So, a number of neuroimaging studies, functional MR studies, they documented the neural network involved in perceiving others' pain, including anterior midcingulate cortex, anterior midcingulate cortex, anterior insular cortex, supplementary motor area, periaqueduct grid, and the somatosensory cortex from a good, very important meta-analysis study by Lane, DCD, and the Singer. When perceiving agency, that is the pain intentional inflicted by another individual, the medial prefrontal cortex and the posterior superior temporal sulcus or temporal junction found to be engaged in social understanding and mentalizing are additionally recorded. So we have good data, we have a good background. Several studies, including ours, use the ERP-EEG paradigm to study the temporal dynamics or spatial temporal dynamics of the empathy. Documented N2, LOPP, late post potential, and immune suppression. N2 is associated with affective arousal. LOPP could be an indicator of emotional regulation or emotional affective arousal. Immune suppression indicates the sensory motor response. We found that perceiving pain, others' pain, relatively no pain, induces stronger immune suppression. So, based on this important literature background, we send hypothesis. We anticipate if cognitive empathy is impaired, then we anticipate reduced activation in the neural network, observing social understanding and mentalizing, including medial prefrontal cortex and posterior superior temporal sulcus. Also, along with LOPP to intentional pain or when the pain is intentional, inflicted by another others. If the emotional accuracy is altered, then the neural network to perceiving others' pain, including AMCC, AIC, and N2, will be changed their response. If the sensory motor response is affected, then individual with ASD will repair somatosensory activation and will fail to suppress new reason elicited by the perception of others in pain. Before fMRI scanning and EEG recording, each participant underwent assessments, including autism polyshot, autism spectrum polyshot, alloxemia scale, parental alloxemia scale 20 items, as well as facial pain threshold. We use the facial augmentation to access the facial pain threshold, indicating the sensitivity to first-hand pain. After scanning and recording, the participants were asked to rate their unpleasantness of the stimuli that they see in the fMRI scanner using a six-point scale on facial pain scale revised. And during these post-scanning ratings, eye tracker was monitored. The visual stimuli include 2x2 categories. Successive presentation of 3 digital color pictures to define motion. The pictures depict some body parts be injuring or not, so pain versus no pain. And the injury was either accidentally caused, solo pain, or intentional hurt by another's diagonal pain, pain. Here is the ERP-EEG paradigm. Immediately after the presentation of the stimuli, participants have to accurately make pain judgment. Sometimes pain is right side, sometimes no pain is right side, to avoid habituation. The study sample consists of 21 controls and 24 ASD individuals in the fMRI study, and 20 ASD and 20 control in the ERP-EEG studies. You can see here most of them are high-functioning autism. Yeah, actually the individuals with typical autism or low-functioning autism cannot have towards to fMRI scanning or ERP recording. The diagnosis of ASD was confirmed by DSM-4 as well as an autism diagnostic interview revised. Interesting that the data on facial augmentation, individuals with ASD, they have lower values, PPT values, indicating hypersensitivity or more sensitivity to first-hand pain or actual pain. Perceiving is a fMRI data, perceiving others' pain in controls. We can see the signal increase in the affective motivational dimension and the sensory discriminating dimension, including the anterior cortex, anterior insula, and somatosensory cortex, even PAG, periaqueduct grade. But in ASD, only somatosensory activation was detected. When perceived agency, the neural network involved in mentalizing or social understanding include mid-prefrontal cortex and temporal parietal junction, posterior superior temporal sulcus, and the posterior cingulated cortex had increased signal. But in ASD, only the precentral inferior temporal gyrus and the lingual gyrus have significant activation. Okay, interesting that this data is somewhat complicated. we saw that unpleasantness rating of the stimuli have a positive correlation to AMCC signal increase to perceiving others' pain, but only in the controls. In ASD, they have no such correlation. In contrast, unpleasantness rating have a negative correlation with somatosensory signal, only in ASD, not in the controls. How about the facial pain thresholds of the sensitivity to first-hand pain? You see here, PPT values have a negative correlation with AMCC signal, only in the controls. And in ASD, their PPT values have a negative correlation with S1S2 instead. That is, lower PPT value, more sensitivity to first-hand pain, then individual will have a stronger somatosensory signal. Another analysis, we use the mediation analysis. We found that in ASD, only in ASD, the PPT values of sensitivity to first-hand pain rather than allothymia was a significant mediator to predict the somatosensory signal to unpleasantness ratings. That is, lower PPT values is coupled with stronger somatosensory signal as well as lower unpleasantness ratings in ASD. But in controls, you can see the relation was driven by the AMCC signal instead of somatosensory signal. In terms of ERP study, ERP results, N2 amplitude have an interaction of stimulus by group. Post-hoc analysis indicates that N2 was elicited by perceiving solo pain versus solo no pain, only in ASD, not in controls. In terms of late positive potential, had the stimulus effect only. That is, post-hoc analysis indicated that both of the ASD and the controls elicited LPP to perceiving pain, solo pain versus solo no pain. When perceiving dia pain and dia no pain, the story becomes changed. N2 have an interaction of stimulus by group. Post-hoc analysis indicated that N2 elicited, dia pain elicited N2 was more negative diffraction than dia no pain in ASD, but not in control. LPP also have an interaction of stimulus group. Post-hoc analysis indicates that in controls, dia no pain elicited more positive diffraction than no pain, but none was detected in ASD. In terms of mu suppression indicative sensory motor response, solo pain and solo no pain versus no pain. Yeah, in healthy adults, we know the solo pain will induce stronger mu suppression than no pain. So in this case, we found that ASD, both in ASD and controls, they elicited stronger mu suppression to solo pain versus no pain. But in dia pain, no pain, neither group of the stimulus or their interaction reach significance. So, the present evidence from functional MRI and the ERP EEG PAM apathy paradise, we learned that in terms of cognitive apathy, reduced activation in medial prefrontal cortex and the posterior superior sulcus to perceive agency, the neural region involved in social understanding and mentalizing, along with no LPP to intentional pain was detected. in terms of emotional empathy, this component, we found reduced activation, reduced hemodynamic response in the AMCC and AIC to perceiving others' pain, as well as heightened response in the N2 to accidental pain. In aspect of sensory motor reference, we found that individuals with ASD preserve somatosensory activation as well as mu suppression to pathopathy, indicating a typical sensory motor reference. So, using this well-validated functional mind and ERP paradigms, we can demonstrate that in FMI, where what the participants have to do is passively viewing the other's pain. So we found that their AIC activation was reduced, accompanied with lower autonomous rating to the stimuli. But in ERP recordings, what the subjects have to do is to actively making pain judgment. But in this case, we found a heightened N2 and the compatible autonomous ratings. So these two findings together, in addition to background, previous literature point out a typical attention to the social stimuli in ASD, as well as heightened amygdala response associated with longer gas fixation. So, putting this finding together, we propose that individuals with ASD may tend to use avoidant patterns of attention to restrict affective hyperarousal, particularly in social emotional processing. That is Chinese old saying say that 无法承受之重. Sorry. Okay, here we found that the lower PPT values indicating hypersensitivity to first-hand pain. Okay, actually this finding is contradictory. Previously, most people say that ASD, individuals with ASD are insensitivity to pain. But this study have some methodological problem. They based their results were mainly based on parental reports or questionnaire, self-report questionnaire, but we used the objective measures, pressure oximetries. Okay, and very recently, Granmore and Guangzhou, they also found that people with ASD, they had lower vital threshold and increased sensitivity to thermal pain. So in this slide, their findings are in line with our findings, our PPT findings. In addition, we use the mediation analysis to ensure reduced PPT values mediates the sensory discrimination to the side of others in pain. Hilton also say that in ASD, sensory processing might be related to social competence. So putting this finding together, we propose this finding may illuminate how a typical low-level peripheral sensory hypersensitivity in ASD affects higher-level empathy. Fortunately, we use almost the same paradigms, the same ERP, EEG paradigms in the offenders with juvenile psychopath. So we have the indicator N2 to accidental pain indicating the emotional empathy. We found the N2 was reduced, but LPP to intentional pain representing the cognitive empathy was intact in the offender with juvenile psychopath. And the ASD displays the opposite pattern. Their N2 to accidental pain was heightened, but their LPP to intentional pain was decreased or absent. So based on the empathy imbalance hypothesis of autism raised by Smith before, we intend to say that autism and psychopaths as diametrical opposite disorders with empathy imbalance. So, summing up this study, breaking down the complex construct of empathy into component processing to examine the neurobiological underpinning of empathy in ASD. The lower pain thresholds but intact view suppression in response to perceiving others' pain in ASD compared to controls, suggesting the sensory-motor contribution to interpersonal sensitivity is unlikely to be impaired. Heightened entry to the accidental pain along with reduced LPP and medial prefrontal cortex activation in response to intention harm demonstrated dissociation between affective arousal and social understanding. Such empathy embarrassing ASD may be a source of emotional distress without individual necessarily be conscious of origin of such feeling, and this likely contributes to difficulties engaged emotionally with others. So I would like to thank my lab students, my colleagues in the hospital, early intervention center, and very many thanks to my close collaborator, John DeCidi. And finally, if you are interested, want to know more information, please refer to these two published papers. Thank you so much.